look at this Passover, because this Passover, some very interesting things are happening. And so we have every year, Temple Institute or different groups will try to have a Passover sacrifice on the Temple Mount. And so it's the tradition. Every year they formally request, and every year the formal request is turned down. And every year they get as close as they can and they have a sacrifice. So this year, the police did arrest multiple people on suspicion of planning Passover sacrifices. And so they did arrest them trying to get onto the Temple Mount. And this is something, again, that happens pretty much every year. They try, and they get as far as they can. And so one thing interesting too was last Thursday, the Temple Institute did a reenactment of the Passover offering. And so here they had the reenactment where they have the priest, they have the Kohen dressed in their priestly garments. They have all the details done. They go through the entire process of kindling the menorah, the songs, the whole order of service, and they go and they have the reenactment of the Passover offering. So here they're preparing and they're teaching these young priests how to do it for when they are allowed to do it, when they do get that formal application, when one year it will be accepted. We know that because we know in order for the Antichrist to stop the sacrifices midway through the tribulation, they will begin. And it'll probably be him that allows them to begin, but something is going to allow them to have their sacrifices. Something's going to allow them to rebuild their temple. They'll have their third temple, and the Antichrist will take advantage of that midway through the tribulation. Also, this Seder, many Jewish families had it with an empty seat because there are 135 Jews that are still in Gaza. Now, it's understood that unfortunately, most of them are dead. Most of them have perished. But what's so hard about it is these families, they don't know if their loved one is still alive or not. And so they're holding out that hope. And it's also that bitter pit in your stomach of, if they are alive, what are they succumbing to? What kind of torture are they under? So pray for these families that are missing their loved ones. This is a time, the Passover Seder is a time when it's a very family event. And so pray for them. Pray for Israel always, of course. And so this Passover, the war with Hamas, Hezbollah, and the West Bank, Iran is kind of stepping back right now, since Israel basically last week let them know that they can reach their nuclear sites. Israel let them know that they can get them. And so Iran is stepping back, but Iran's proxies have become more prominent. And so it looks like they are about to go into Gaza and finish. They're already in Gaza, but they're going to finish the last northern part and get, hopefully completely defeat Hamas. And Hezbollah has been hitting them. So yesterday, as the Passover Seder was starting, Hezbollah was firing rockets into northern Israel, and they have gotten higher. They've gotten further into Israel than they've gotten in the past. So Hezbollah is showing that they're capable to get further into Israel than they were before, which is concerning. And of course, Israel is on high alert because the pattern here, and this is not just from October 7th, but it's a pattern that's been established, that the terrorists, they like to exploit Jewish holidays. And that's exactly, October 7th, that was the Shema Torah. That was the beginning, that was the new beginning of the Torah reading. So that was at the very end of the High Holy Days in the fall, when October 7th happened. And so here we see Hezbollah launching deeper attacks, and also Hamas is now aiming for a full-scale regional war. So Hamas before, and Hamas all along has refused ceasefires. They, and part of it is because they don't really have many bargaining chips. They have most likely murdered most, if not all, of the captives that they had, is what it seems like. I think they're thinking that they probably have less than 20 that are alive now, and it's just heartbreaking. But they've been hoping for a full-scale regional war, and really this is what Hamas has been hoping for the entire time. They were expecting these other terrorist organizations, they were expecting Hezbollah to jump right in. Remember, they were expecting they were really actually expecting the Psalm 83 coalition to happen then, but it's been holding back, and it hasn't happened yet. And so that's what's going on in Israel. But there's also just in the past several days, and this has been going on, the anti-Semitism that is in America, that's in the West, that's really worldwide, has been growing. But in the last few days, it has been off the charts in universities, like Ivy League schools, where people are paying an absurd amount of money to send their kids, and their kids are just being indoctrinated into extremism. It's really, really sad. It's not surprising, because there's nothing new under the sun. Hitler did the same thing. And that's what we see happening here. And so here at Yale University, demonstrators form a human barrier to prevent Jewish students from entering. So here, these are Jewish students in the United States. This doesn't even have anything to do with Israel. It's just hating people because they're Jewish. 2024 USA or 1933 Germany. Columbia University's rabbi tells the Jewish students to go home over the threat of violence. It's not safe for these kids to go to school anymore. That's insane. That's absolutely insane. And we see that this, God says he's going to bring Israel back. He's going to bring the people back to their land. And one reason why that's happening is going to be because there's no other place where Jews are safe, because they're being turned against all over the world, this demonic anti-Semitism. And so here, and this right here makes a lot of sense. Massive faculty walkout in support of pro-Palestinian protesters at Columbia University. Here at Columbia University, where the rabbi's saying, don't even go because it's not safe. They're going to hurt you. Here, no wonder. The faculty, no wonder the teachers are indoctrinating these kids into hatred. Now, mind you, this is the same thing that happened in Gaza. The UN ran schools that were inside of Gaza were teaching terrorism. They were not just encouraging terrorism and extremism, but they were teaching kids to be terrorists. So it should not surprise us, but at the same time, it's insane. It's insane that this is happening in America. And police stormed Yale University campus with riot gear. This was last night, and had to arrest 47 as hundreds stage anti-Israel protest. And here, these are, Jewish kids are getting hurt, are being, are told that they can't go to school, or they shouldn't go to school because they can't guarantee their safety. Students for Palestine are starting an occupation of Sydney University. This is today, Woke liberal progressive governments are literally inviting this. Make no mistake, this is on purpose, just like what Hitler did. The enemy knows that if they get the kids, they get the next generation. Meanwhile, in New York City, pro-Hamas mob marches to NYPD headquarters with flares ignited. And so you see here just a takeover of insanity. New York University anti-Israel protesters form human chain as police move in for arrest. And so this is happening over large areas, and happening in universities and schools and places that are supposed to be Ivy League, where these kids are supposed to be smart, but they're impressionable and they've been indoctrinated. They're looking for something. They need God is what they need. And we really need to pray for these kids because they're being fooled. They want something to believe in, and they're falling hook, line, and sinker for the enemy.